Okay, so we've all heard of Valorant. It's a free, online, character-based, tactical FPS shooter from the League of Legends developer, Riot Games. It also has some pretty low system requirements for a 2020 release. So just how low and how cheap could we technically and practically put together a system to play Valorant with? Well, I guess we're going to find out. And that's where this comes into play. This is the £50 Valorant Gaming PC anyone can build. I hope you enjoy the video. My name's Andy and this is Andy's Tech. Although it helps, you don't need the latest and greatest to get into PC gaming and have some fun online with your friends. Valorant is the perfect example of this and has probably the lowest system requirements going for a newish title, needing only an i3 4150 or Ryzen 3 12100, a GT 730 or R7 240, and 4GB of system memory for the recommended specifications, and even lower for the minimum with either a Core 2 Duo E8400, Athlon 220 GE, HD 4000 graphics or R5 200. So with a budget set of £50, as this seemed a reasonable amount, and with strict conditions not to buy a pre-built Dell, as that would be a cop-out and make for a very short and rather boring video, plus it's been done before. Though that might still be the case, but I will let you guys decide, and please leave a comment though if you do find this entertaining, as just to put me out my misery really, plus I love hearing what you guys have to say. So phasers set to stun, and lame jokes aside, I set out to put together a PC that could play Valorant for £50, and this is what I came up with. Inside this Stone Computers mini tower, we have an i3 4130, a Mizzy H81 P33 motherboard, 8GB of DDR3 RAM in dual channel, a 250GB hard disk drive, and an OK little 300W 80 plus FSP PSU that will service our needs perfectly and is also capable of powering the GPU we're going to use, the Radeon R7 250 OEM, and all this for the grand sum of £49.95. The Stone Mini Tower was an eBay auction for £25 and came with everything shown apart from the extra 4GB stick of RAM, which I purchased from CEX for £5. The R7 250 was also a buy now eBay item for £19.95. And before someone calls the one-off police, there are loads of systems like this going all the time on auction for around this price, at varying specs, but generally along these lines. The GPU is also available to buy now for £15 to £25 with free delivery. So let's take a closer look. The little i3 4130 is a Haswell 2-core 4-threaded chip, running at 3.4 GHz. Still a capable little CPU, as long as you bear in mind the limitations of only having 2 cores in 2022. A little shy of the 4150 needed for the recommended requirements, but I have faith. Our Mizzy H81P33 motherboard is perfectly serviceable and will support Xeon and i7 Haswell CPUs. It also has a usable rear I/O and will take 16GB of RAM if needed. The RAM is DDR3 1600MHz running in dual channel and is just standard stuff. The PSU, as mentioned, is not the most powerful unit at 300 watts, but has the 80 plus bronze certification, and FSP are known to make reliable units. The hard disk drive is just a run-of-the-mill 250GB Toshiba drive, and will be more than enough for Windows and a few games. Now, one of the benefits of buying a tower like this is everything is non-proprietary, unlike what you would get in a pre-built Dell or HP system. This means everything is upgradable. You could swap the case out or PSU and turn this into a nice little custom system if you wanted. The perfect starting point, you might say. So on to the R7 250. Launched in 2013 and built on the 28nm process and based on the Orlando graphics processor, it features 384 shading units, 24 texture mapping units and 8 ROPs. There's 2GB of DDR3 memory with a 128-bit memory bus. The card is operating at a frequency of 1000 MHz and the memory is also running at 1000 MHz. Being a dual slot card, it does not require any additional power, and its power draw is rated at 65 watts maximum, so perfect for our system. We will be running the card today as well with a 100 MHz core and 200 MHz memory overclock. So that's the specs of our system. I guess we should jump into some Valorant now and see what experience we can get with our super low spec PC. And I guess you've been watching this far, so strap on your seatbelts, lower your expectations and enjoy the benchmarking. So 1080p with all the settings turned to low to try and get the best performance out of the system. We returned a 106.7 FPS average, with 1% lows of 52.6 and 0.1% lows of 30.3. The game was running smoothly with no noticeable drops or stutters, but I would have liked to see the 1% lows above 60 FPS. I'm sure this was down to when I died and respawned though. I thought I'd see if limiting the frame rate to 75 FPS would help this, but alas no, we actually saw a lower result with 1% lows of 44.6 and 0.1% lows of 27.5. Not ideal really in an FPS shooter, but still acceptable considering the cost of the system. Not to be beaten though, I dropped the screen resolution to 900p and maintained the previous low settings. We increased our average FPS to 126.5, the 1% increased to 62.8, and the 0.1% respectively to 32 dead. Now if you were looking for the best experience, personally I'd stick with 1080p low, as quite honestly the FPS drops couldn't really be felt. Maybe 4 cores would have helped and something like an i5-4460 would be a better option, if you had a better budget that is. 720p is worth a quick mention, but we were CPU bottlenecked and saw no improvement over 1080p or 900p, so it was best avoided really. But I think our little system we put together performed admirably, and I would have no problem recommending these specs to get you up and running on Valorant. Haha, but we wouldn't be a budget tech channel if we just left it there, so let's test some more games. CSGO first. At 900p with the low settings, we returned a very playable 117 FPS average, with 1% lows of 56 and 0.1% lows of 42. I've had a lot worse CSGO experiences than this, and all in all no complaints. The little i3 was actually holding the R7 back here, so again a more powerful i5 may see better results. On to the stuttery mess that's Fortnight now. 1080p performance mode with epic view distance, and we were getting an 89 FPS average over 3 games. It was playable for the casual player, but you would see drops in bigger fights, which isn't ideal for a game like this. But again, considering the cost of the system, you could easily get used to it if you needed to. Last up, PUBG, a game I completely suck at, but I wanted to test something a little more demanding. I used a very low preset with low textures at 1080p, and yeah, it did struggle. It was passable it was above 30 FPS most of the time. So that brings us to the end of the video. Now, although you shouldn't go out and build a system like this, it does go to show that Valorant is a super easy game to run and will run on these low end specs. I guess any system at this price point will have its limitations, but you could go out and build this system now if you wanted to get playing some games, and that's the main point really. So thank you for watching. Please leave a like or a comment down below. Please subscribe to the channel to see more videos. Take care as always. God bless and see you in the next one hopefully.